a dangerous and major ice and winter storm is moving into the deep south and is in the deep south right now. As you can see, this is the live radar looking at this, and you can just see the wintry mix is already starting in these areas, especially in Texas, in where around the Midland area, Fort Worth, or starting in Dallas. You guys can see this mesoscale discussion that they have put out, this blue area for wintry mix precipitation. So this is probably not wintry mix yet. As you can see, it's starting to transition and is maybe already wintry mix. So this is going ahead. It's already starting. For you guys in Texas, it is already starting. For you guys up in Kansas, all of this is already snow. It looks like it's on rain on here. For some reason, it's showing rain. This is all snow. All of this is snow. Down here, this is the really heavy stuff, as well as down here in Oklahoma. So we're going to continue to monitor this as it moves into the deep south, especially this ice line right here. Okay, we just looked at the radar, and now we're going to look at what this storm is going to do on the latest American GFS model. Now, looking at this, it looks like as it goes forward, you can see the heavy snow in Oklahoma moving into the Tennessee area, the Arkansas area, the Kentucky area. This seems to be a trend on the newest models. A lot of the newest models have this heavy snow moving off into Tennessee and Kentucky. So for you guys, it's actually going to start out as heavy snow, light snow, then to heavy snow very early tomorrow morning. This is 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you guys in Tennessee, you guys are going to see a lot of heavy snow. Everyone in Arkansas is going to see a lot of heavy snow going into the morning, as well as into Kentucky tomorrow afternoon. These areas will see a lot of heavy snow first, and then this sleet wintry mix ice afterward. So looking at this going forward, you guys can see Texas is just going to get a ton of ice today. Around the DFW tonight is going to get hit hard with this ice. The DFW area is going to get pretty iced, while heavy snow and light snow maintains itself into the Oklahoma area, where a hot spot will build for heavy snow in the South Kansas, North Oklahoma area. Moving forward, this ice continues to move off north into the Tennessee and into the deep south, the Tennessee Valley, deep south area. But more ice and sleet continues to make its way into Texas as this second round moves forward, as well as very heavy snow. I want to note this pink you see. This is not freezing rain. This is heavy, heavy snow. This is going to be really heavy snow on top of what we're already seeing today. So this is going to be a hot spot for heavy, heavy snow, as well as you just see a ton of moisture just getting flung into this area and sucked up from the Gulf, causing this giant ice line and this giant sleet line, as well as this heavy snow. So moving forward into Sunday, this is Sunday early morning. This is like midnight. Moving forward, this freezing rain continues. Heavy freezing rain Saturday night into Sunday morning. Very heavy freezing rain. And then by the day on Sunday, freezing rain and sleet continue in the deep south and clear up in the Texas area. So snow will just remain the main threat behind this line. A little bit lingering light snow in Texas, Oklahoma, and into Arkansas. Now looking at the Ohio Valley area, we're going to start at the same time period. Like I said, the trend in the models has been heavy snow starting on Saturday morning. This is around 9 to 10 a.m. on Saturday, or tomorrow morning. Saturday morning, tomorrow morning. Then moving forward, this is going to continue to turn into freezing rain and sleet during the day on Saturday as it warms up. And this is going to continue into the overnight hours, where this sleet continues. The GFS model actually does not have this warm nose, this area where the rain starts to move into the area, actually penetrate far enough north to eat away at so much of the snowfall that is falling in Kentucky and West Virginia. So I think you guys are still going to get mainly snow up here while this area gets ice. I agree with the American model on this. I don't think that warm nose is going to be as exaggerated as the Euro has it and has been. So I don't actually think we're going to show the Euro on here. I think it's an outlier, and I think we could show it for a second. But freezing rain a lot in this area. This is what I'm worried about. Ice in this area. Extreme ice accumulations up above an inch are possible. So this is going to be dangerous ice. Prepare for days without power, maybe even a week without power. Now, moving forward, you can see the lingering snow in the Tennessee area, the Kentucky area, as it moves off into the mid-Atlantic. Looking at the mid-Atlantic now, we are going to be seeing a lot of, like I said, the cold air damming, as I explained in my last video and my live stream. The cold air damming is where the cold air collects down here, and when this low and the warm nose continues to build up here, it pushes the moisture up over the mountains and the Appalachian Mountains, and creates clouds and rain over this area that is cold, where the warm air is getting pushed into these valleys and not able to be pushed into this cold, where the cold air is collected. So another hot spot is going to be northern Georgia, in the Carolinas, and into Virginia. These areas could see a ton of freezing rain and ice. Looking at this, you guys can see continuing to show a very strong signal of very heavy ice going into Sunday and even into Monday. This snow continues to look bad for everybody up there in Pittsburgh in terms of travel and impacts. This nor'easter continues. Maybe a little bit of sleet and mixed precipitation going into New York, going on Monday afternoon. But as this moves out, this is going to be a strong nor'easter, a lot of snow in these areas. Let's take a look at the snow totals. Wouldn't be surprised if we see around 10 to 12 inches in these areas. Everyone in the mid-south, in these ice areas, you guys' totals are going to be a little iffy, a coin toss. And everybody in the Carolinas, if you love snow, sadly, it doesn't look like any snow. It looks like a ton of ice. You guys need to prepare for days without power as well. Going ahead and looking at the ice totals. Like I said, this hot spot over here, all these areas, we will look at that in a second. But the Carolinas and northern Georgia in the South Carolina, that area, looks to be around up to 2 inches max of ice. Now, this is could be overdone. I would say maybe an inch or 3/4 of an inch around that. Around that would be a good bet for these areas. Now, moving over to the Ohio Valley South area, we're going to look at this hot spot right here. As you can see, I'll show you some more models in a little bit that have really shown this, but this strip right here is going to be where dangerous ice is going to be, where the most ice is going to be. I think 1 to 2 inches is very probable, is a high chance, honestly, in these areas, especially if you are in central and upper Mississippi. I think you guys probably have a 60% chance of seeing an inch or more of ice. It is very likely that this is going to be destructive ice and that we will see plenty of damage in these areas. This is the national blend of models. This is the probabilistic precipitation portal. This is looking at basically what the expected amount of snowfall is going to be. So this is in the next 72 hours. You guys will see that hot spot in Oklahoma up to 14 inches, 15 inches. I wouldn't be surprised if people over here saw up to a foot of snow. I think that's very possible. Same with you guys up there in Evansville, Louisville, Lexington, up to a foot of snow, 14 inches-ish. Now, everybody up here, if you guys are anywhere in Pennsylvania, I would say you guys could get up to 20 inches, but around a foot of snow is a pretty good bet. Up here in New York, 20 inches maximum. Like I said, maybe about a foot or a foot up to 2 foot up here, and this whole area could expect up to a foot or 2 of snow. Now, looking down here into the deep south in Nashville area, looking at around 4 inches in Nashville. This is going to be more ice. You guys down here in Columbia, down here in Shelbyville, and more of the deep south over toward this ice area where this gradient is, 1 to 2 inches is probable right here in these areas where the ice is going to be the max as the snow comes in first. I do think these areas in Nashville and Columbia, in Murfreesboro and Jackson, Clarksville as well, are going to get a boosted amount of snow in the next few model runs of this, because this is a little lagged behind. But this is going to continue to increase, probably because a lot of the models in the recent runs have been increasing on the fact that, like I said, snow starts first. So we're going to see a little bit of snow accumulation before the ice ends up coming. Now, looking at the ice forecast, like I said, there's these little edges of this that I don't know. I would basically kind of smooth out in my brain, like kind of refine this, but this is not an exact forecast. This is a really accurate guess, though. So as you can see, 1 inch to 2 inches, these contours right here. Now, this area that I'm circling is where I think anyone could get up to 1 inch or 2 of ice. Any one of these circles could get up to 1 inch or 2 of ice. Now, this ice could be down here. This ice could be up here. We still don't know. It's a little iffy on where that's going to be, still on models. But if you guys are in this circle, if you guys are in the red anywhere, prepare for days without power. If you guys are in the purple, pink, you guys should prepare for around maybe almost a week without power, depending on where you live. And especially if you guys are in northern Mississippi and southern Tennessee. Finally, to wrap it up, I'm going to take a look at some convective models, the HRRR, the RAP model, and we're going to take a look at some RAP soundings. Now, if you were in my stream last night, or you have watched some of my videos in the past, you would know what a sounding is. I'm going to explain it briefly here, and going to explain what it is briefly, but I'm not going to do a full thing. There are some videos on YouTube that would be more in depth on the sounding thing. I don't have time here today to explain it fully. So looking at this, you guys can see this is right now. This is the RAP model, really good for soundings. And this is early in the morning tomorrow on Saturday. So let's go ahead and take a sounding in Kentucky right here at about 7 a.m. on Saturday. So tomorrow morning. And classic. So picture an ice crystal right here falling from the cloud up here. As it's entering this is a sounding, a SQT. This is what the temperature measurement is. You can ignore all of this. You don't need to see all that. That does not matter for this. This is the SQT, a temperature measurement. And basically, this is going up in the atmosphere, and these temperature lines are measuring the temperature on a graph all the way up. So as you notice, a big thing here is this cold air at the surface steeply warms up into a warm layer above freezing and then goes back below freezing. So when the ice crystal moves down from the cloud into this warm layer, it melts into a raindrop. That's a poorly drawn raindrop, but you get it. And as this raindrop moves into the cold air again at the surface, it doesn't have enough time to freeze into a sleet pellet. So it turns into freezing rain, and it freezes on contact at the surface because the surface is 17 degrees. So a classic look for freezing rain here in Texas at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Looking even more forward, we're going to take one in Mississippi Sunday, or midnight Sunday, around midnight on Sunday. So around, just to get a picture of the environment. And it's classic look here. You guys can see that warm layer, steep drop off at the surface, a little less intense of the one that we saw in Texas, but still, we are still below freezing, a pretty steep drop off. Picture that snowflake going into that warm air, melting into a raindrop, then freezing, that raindrop freezing at the surface when it hits the ground, which is freezing rain. Unfortunately, this looks like a pretty big freezing rainmaker. Gonna go ahead and take another one here Sunday early, maybe 9 a.m. here in western middle Tennessee. Another classic. Look at this warm layer. This warm layer is very strong. You guys can see that warm layer up all the way, steep drop off into the 20s. You guys can see that temperature and dew point right there is very low. And especially as it increases to around above freezing here, you guys can see that is going to allow for that warm layer to melt the ice into snow, and then melt the snow into rain and then into freezing rain as it hits the surface. Now, let's take one more sounding later on in this day around Middle Tennessee here as it moves off, and just to get a look at the same looking environment. I don't even have to explain it. Warm layer, little cold layer at the surface, steep drop off is allowing for these freezing rain to pile up. Now, looking at this model's freezing rain totals, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Like I said in my thing before, this model is really potent on that 2+ 3-inch area in these areas. You guys can see Middle Tennessee, Northern Mississippi. If you guys are in these areas, please be prepared. If you guys are in any of this, be prepared. But especially if you guys are in here, you need to be prepared for days without power, like I've explained. Looking at the HRRR model, we're going to take a look at the 18Z HRRR model. This doesn't go out all the way to the end of the event, but we do have a pretty good picture on what it's going to be. Looking at Saturday morning is starting off as snow, like we have discussed. It transitions into freezing rain up here as it moves off from from Texas, and then it moves in again. You can see this rain, this warm nose tries to come in, and it just gets shunted off by the cold air overnight. And freezing rain seems to be the whole story in northern Mississippi. You see, this freezing rain never stops in Tennessee and Mississippi, and that's something that is going to be very destructive. Looking at the total freezing rain here, it's painting the same picture that the wrap was painting. You guys can see this whole area is looking at over 1 inch or 2 of ice, especially right here. So if you guys live in these areas, like I've said, I cannot stress enough, prepare for days without power, heaters, generators, everything. You guys need to be prepared for a historic, never seen before type of ice storm that only happens really every 25, 50 years. This may be something we haven't seen ever if we get 3-4 inches of ice like these models are depicting. Now, obviously, this could be overdone, but just you get that the models are showing a consistent above 1 inch of ice for those areas. That's really going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for tuning in to the live stream last night. I know we had some technical difficulties. We're going to try to iron those out for tomorrow. If you guys want to see that, it'll probably be around lunchtime tomorrow. I'll get more details as we go on into tomorrow and later tonight. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.